I've been invisible for 11 months. That's the truth of working in a house like Marco DeLuca's. You learn to move through rooms like a shadow, present but unnoticed, silent but efficient. My hands dust surfaces that shine under lights I'll never be able to afford. I fold sheets softer than clouds. I arrange flowers that cost more than my weekly paycheck. The estate sits in Lower Manhattan like a king on a throne. 4 floors of dark wood and marble, windows that look down on a city I can barely survive in. Everything here whispers money and power. Everything here belongs to a man I've learned to avoid. Marco DeLuca himself is a presence I predict, not a person I know. I hear his footsteps in the hallway, measured, deliberate, never rushed. I catch glimpses through doorways. Dark suits that fit perfectly, salt and pepper hair styled with precision, eyes the color of steel that never quite land on me. He holds meetings in his study with men who speak in quiet voices and leave through back exits. I clean up after them. Empty glasses, ashtrays, papers left on tables. I don't ask questions. That's the first rule, the only rule that matters. My job is to disappear. The only thing keeping me sane is Sophia. My younger sister works in the kitchen here, 21 years old with our mother's bright smile and none of my worry. She makes breakfasts that smell like home and dinners that look like magazine covers. Every evening when our shifts end, we take the subway back to our apartment in Queens. 1 bedroom that we share. Thin walls. Neighbors who shout at 2 in the morning. But it's ours. Well, rented. Barely afforded. I work the extra shifts when they're offered. I need every dollar. Because $62,400 in medical debt doesn't disappear on its own. Because my father had emergency surgery 8 months ago. His heart gave out in the middle of a work shift, and the hospital saved his life but destroyed our finances. The bills started arriving before he even left recovery. I signed payment plans that will follow me for years. Accepted interest rates that should be illegal. And learned to survive on cheap coffee and cheaper hope. The deadline is in 14 days. 14 days until they start collections. Until they start calling every hour. Until they threaten to garnish my wages and Sophia's too. So I clean. I fold. I polish. I accept every overtime hour without complaint. Tuesday night, the grandfather clock in the entrance hall chimes 11 times as I finish wiping down the kitchen counters. My shoulders ache from scrubbing grout in the 3rd floor bathrooms. My lower back protests when I bend to collect my cleaning supplies. November in New York means darkness falls early, and through the tall windows, I watch rain begin to fall. Sophia appears from the pantry, pulling on her jacket. She smells like garlic and fresh bread from whatever she prepared for Marco's late dinner. "You coming?" she asks. "Yeah, just let me grab my bag." She studies my face with that sister intensity that sees everything. "You look exhausted, Elena." "I'm fine. You always say that." She links her arm through mine as we walk toward the service entrance. "Movie night this weekend? I'll make popcorn the good way. If I'm not working." "Elena." Her voice carries that gentle disappointment I hate. "You can't keep doing doubles forever." "But I can. I have to. The next payment is due in 3 days, and I'm still short by $400. Outside, the rain has gone from drizzle to downpour. We stand under the small awning by the back door, and Sophia pulls out her phone to check the subway. "Train's running," she says. "Ready to run for it?" 4 blocks. That's all it is. 4 blocks from the DeLuca estate to the Canal Street station. We've walked it hundreds of times. Usually together. Sometimes alone when our schedules don't match. The neighborhood is supposed to be safe. This is Marco's territory, and I've heard the whispers about what that means. Protection. Order. Rules enforced by men in expensive suits. Tonight, Sophia's phone buzzes. A text. Her expression changes. "It's Danny," she says, frowning at the screen. His roommate locked himself out. He's asking if I can swing by with the spare key. "Now?" He says it's urgent. She looks up at me, conflicted. "I'm sorry, Elena. Can you get home okay? It's 4 blocks. I know, but..." "Sophia, go. Your boyfriend needs you." "I'll be fine." She hesitates, then kisses my cheek and runs toward the small parking area where her car sits. I watch her taillights disappear around the corner. Then I pull my hood up against the rain and start walking. The streets are quieter than usual. Most shops have closed for the night, their windows dark except for security lights that cast everything in shades of yellow and shadow. My sneakers splash through puddles. Water soaks through to my socks within the first block. I keep my head down and count the familiar landmarks. The Italian bakery, the newsstand, the electronics store with the flickering sign. 2 blocks down, 2 to go. I've made this walk so many times I could do it with my eyes closed. Left at the corner, straight past the old church, right at the pharmacy. Then the subway entrance appears like a lighthouse in fog. But tonight, something feels different. The alley on my left, the one I pass every night without thinking, has 2 figures standing at its mouth. They step out as I approach, blocking the sidewalk. I stop. My heart jumps into my throat. Evening, one of them says. Tall guy, maybe 25, with a shaved head and a leather jacket. His companion is shorter but broader, wearing a hoodie pulled low. Evening, I manage, moving to step around them. The tall one shifts, staying in my path. Where you headed in such a hurry? Home. My voice comes out steadier than I feel. Excuse me. Hold up. He holds out a hand, not threatening but not friendly either. Just being neighborly. Making conversation. The shorter one moves behind me. Cutting off retreat. My stomach drops. I don't want trouble, I say. No trouble, the tall one says, smiling. But his eyes aren't smiling. Just need your bag. And that phone in your pocket. Nice and easy. My mind races. Scream. But who would hear in this rain? Run. But where? Fight. Against 2 men twice my size? I pull my crossbody bag over my head with shaking hands. He takes it, rifles through it quickly, pockets my wallet. Phone too. I reach into my jacket and hand it over. My lifeline. My alarm. My only way to call Sophia if something goes wrong. Good. He examines the phone, then his eyes drop to my shirt. My work uniform, visible where my jacket hangs open. Simple gray polo with the estate's small logo embroidered on the chest. So discreet most people don't notice it. But he notices. He goes very still. Wait, he says slowly. You work at that house. The big estate on the corner. Fear spikes through me, cold and sharp. No, don't lie. He grabs my collar, yanking me forward. Rain drips down his face. I've seen that logo. You work for DeLuca, don't you? I'm just a cleaner, I say desperately. I don't know anything. I just clean. Please, just a cleaner. He looks at his companion. Something passes between them. Something dark. You hear that? She works for the Italian. The shorter man's expression changes. His jaw tightens. I don't know anything, I repeat. My voice is shaking now. I just work there. You're gonna deliver a message for us, the tall one says, cutting me off. You're gonna tell your boss that his streets aren't his anymore. That we can reach anyone we want. Anytime we want. The first hit comes from nowhere. His fist catches me across the face, and pain explodes white hot behind my eyes. I stagger backward. Before I can scream, the shorter one grabs my arms from behind, fingers digging in hard enough to bruise. I try to fight, but a hand clamps over my mouth. This is what happens, the tall one says, close to my ear, when someone thinks they own our city. When they think their Italian boss can tell us where to work. The second punch catches my ribs. Then another. And another. I stop counting after 4. Stop trying to fight. Just curl inward and wait for it to end. Someone yanks my hair back, and I see the tall one's fist coming toward my face before everything goes black. I don't know how long I'm unconscious. Could be seconds. Could be minutes. When awareness returns, I'm lying on wet pavement. Rain drums against my back. Every breath feels like knives in my side. My left eye won't open, swollen shut, throbbing. The metallic taste of blood fills my mouth. They're gone. My bag, my phone, my attackers, all vanished into the November night. I push myself to sitting. Bite back a sob as my ribs scream in protest. My hands are scraped raw. My jeans are torn at the knee. Through my one working eye, I can see the subway entrance ahead. Its lights waver through the rain. Get up. Move. Get home. I don't remember the walk clearly. Just fragments. Stumbling through the turnstile. An old woman's concerned face asking if I need help, me shaking my head. The jarring motion of the train. Climbing the stairs to our apartment building feels like climbing a mountain. Our bathroom mirror tells the story my body already knows. My left eye is swollen completely shut, purple spreading across the socket like spilled ink. My bottom lip is split and bleeding. When I lift my shirt, bruises are already forming along my ribs in shades of red and purple. My arms show clear finger-shaped marks where I was grabbed. I turn on the shower. Let it run hot. Sit on the bathroom floor fully clothed while steam fills the space. Only then do I let myself cry, quiet, controlled, so I won't wake Sophia when she gets home. But she comes home anyway. Her key turns in the lock. Footsteps approach. Then she's in the bathroom doorway, and her face goes white. Elena. Oh my God, Elena. I'm okay. You're bleeding. We need to go to the hospital. No, Elena. I can't afford it. My voice breaks. I can't afford the Sophia. I can't. She crouches beside me. Her hands hover like she's afraid touching me will cause more pain. What happened? Mugged. 2 guys. They took everything. Did you call the police? No phone, remember? I try to smile, but my split lip makes me wince. I'll file a report tomorrow. Sophia's expression says she doesn't believe any of this is fine. But she doesn't argue. She helps me out of my wet clothes. Steadies me as I shower. Bandages the worst scrapes with our first aid kit. When I finally crawl into bed, she sits beside me in the dark. I shouldn't have left you alone, she whispers. Not your fault. But as I lie there, every part of my body screaming, I can't stop replaying it. The moment the tall one saw my uniform, the recognition in his eyes, the deliberate violence that followed. This wasn't random, and somehow, that makes it worse. Sleep comes in broken pieces. Pain pulses through my ribs with every breath. When my alarm goes off at 6, I stare at the ceiling and think about the impossible math of missing work. I need every shift, every dollar. The medical debt doesn't care if I've been beaten half to death in an alley. $62,400. That number follows me everywhere. Each month I chip away at it, $300 here, $500 when I work doubles, but the interest keeps it alive. Keeps it growing. Missing even one day means falling further behind. I drag myself upright, bite back a groan as my ribs protest. The bathroom mirror shows exactly what I'll be working with. My left eye has transformed into a grotesque palette of purple and black. The cut on my lip has scabbed over. Bruises bloom across my jaw like violent flowers. Makeup becomes armor. I layer concealer thick enough to hide a crime scene. Foundation in 3 different shades trying to match what my skin used to look like. The eye is hopeless. No amount of product can disguise that damage. I settle for making the rest of my face look human. The long-sleeve shirt is necessary despite the warmth inside the estate. Charcoal gray, high-necked, covering every inch of damage I can hide. When I check my reflection one final time, I look like someone wearing a mask of myself. Sophia is already in the kitchen when I emerge. Her face crumples. Don't, I say before she can start. I'm going to work. Elena, you can barely stand up straight. I can stand fine. A lie. Every step sends shocks through my left side. And I need the money. One day won't. Yes, it will. I pour coffee into a travel mug. Payments due in 3 days. I'm still short. She opens her mouth, closes it. We both know the math. At least let me drive you, she says finally. I accept because the subway stairs feel impossible this morning. The estate looks exactly as it always does, beautiful, imposing, utterly indifferent to my suffering. Sophia drops me at the service entrance with a look that says we'll be discussing this later. I make it through the morning on autopilot. Dust the library shelves. Vacuum the second-floor hallway. Change linens in the guest rooms. Each task requires complete focus to avoid aggravating my injuries. I move slowly, carefully, and avoid every reflective surface. Around noon, I'm in the linen closet folding towels when I hear footsteps behind me. You look terrible. I turn. Vittorio stands in the doorway. Marco's right-hand man. Tall, lean, with gray at his temples and eyes that miss nothing. He's looking at me with an expression I can't read. I'm fine, I say automatically. That's not what I asked. He steps closer, studying my face. What happened? I fell. Subway stairs. The rain made them slippery. He doesn't respond, just watches me with that unsettling intensity. Then he turns and walks away without another word. I tell myself he believed me. That he'll forget about it in an hour. I'm wrong. I'm in the third-floor study, wiping down the windowsills when I hear it. Footsteps. Different from the usual staff. Heavier. More deliberate. My heart jumps before logic catches up. It's just another employee. The head housekeeper checking my work. Vittorio coming back with questions. But when I turn around, Marco De Luca stands in the doorway. He's removed his suit jacket. Rolled his shirt sleeves to his elbows. His dark hair is slightly disheveled, like he's been running his hands through it. And his eyes, those steel gray eyes I've seen 100 times from a distance, are fixed directly on me. Actually seeing me, not through me. I'm sorry, Mr. DeLuca. My voice comes out steadier than I feel. I thought you were in meetings. I can come back. Stop. I freeze. He steps into the room, closes the door behind him with a quiet click that feels far too intimate. Look at me. Not a request. Not quite an order. Something in between that makes me obey before I've decided to. I lift my face. Let him see the full extent of the damage the makeup can't hide. His expression doesn't change, still that careful neutrality I've observed from afar. But something hardens in his jaw. He crosses the space between us in 3 measured steps. Suddenly he's close. Too close. Near enough that I can smell cedar and something darker. More expensive. Tell me how you fell, he says quietly. The subway stairs were wet. I lost my footing. Which side did you fall on? The question catches me off guard. What? Left or right? Which side hit the stairs? My mind scrambles. Left. I think. You think. He circles slowly, and I fight the urge to back away. But you're favoring your left side when you breathe. Protecting it. So you fell on the left. Hit your left eye. Split your lip. And now your left ribs hurt. Heat floods my face. Yes. That's a very consistent fall. He stops in front of me again. Show me your arms. Mr. DeLuca. Show me. My hands tremble as I set down the cleaning cloth. He's my employer. I can't refuse. Don't want to, for reasons I can't examine. I push up the right sleeve first, the arm with less damage. Just some scrapes across the forearm. The other one, I hesitate. The left arm tells a different story. But Marco waits with infinite patience, and eventually I push up that sleeve too. The bruises are unmistakable. Perfect finger-shaped marks circling my bicep where someone grabbed me. Purple and yellow and angry red. Marco stares at them for a long moment. When he finally speaks, his voice has dropped to something cold. Deadly. Who did this to you? I told you. Don't. The word cracks like a whip. Don't lie to me again, Elena. Those are not from a fall. Someone grabbed you. Held you. Where did this happen? The use of my name shocks me into silence. I hadn't known he knew my name. 11 months of invisibility, and he'd known it all along. 4 blocks from here, I hear myself say. The truth comes out before I can stop it. Last night, walking to the subway, what did they take? My bag, phone, wallet, and then? I can't answer. Can't find words for the violence that followed. And then? He repeats. Softer but no less insistent. They saw my uniform. My voice cracks. Asked if I worked for you. I said no, but they didn't believe me. They said, I stop. Swallow hard. They said it was a message. The silence that follows feels dangerous. Marco's jaw tightens, the only visible sign of whatever's happening behind those steel eyes. Then he moves to his desk and presses a button on the phone. Vittorio. My office. Now. Mr. DeLuca, please, I start. Sit down. I don't want to cause trouble. Sit down. Not angry. Just absolute. The voice of someone who expects obedience and receives it. I sit in one of the leather chairs facing his desk. Feels small and exposed. Marco remains standing, one hand braced on the desk, staring at nothing. Vittorio arrives within 2 minutes. He takes one look at my face and goes still. 4 blocks from here, Marco says without preamble. Last night around 11:30. 2 men. They saw her uniform and decided to deliver a message. Vittorio's expression turns to stone. Where exactly? Between the newsstand and the pharmacy, I supply quietly. We have cameras in that area. I'll pull the footage. He glances at me, and there's something almost like sympathy in his eyes. Can you describe them? I do. Tall guy, shaved head, leather jacket. Shorter companion, broader, hoodie pulled low. Details have replayed in my mind all night. Sounds like someone from the Eastern European crew, Vittorio says after a moment. Petrov's people have been pushing into lower Manhattan. Marco's hand curls into a fist on the desk. Find them. Both of them. I want them here by midnight. Consider it done. Vittorio leaves as quickly as he'd arrived, and I'm alone with Marco again. The silence stretches unbearably until I can't stand it anymore. This isn't necessary, I say. I'm fine. It was just a mugging. It wasn't a mugging. Marco finally looks at me, and there's something in his expression that makes my breath catch. It was a challenge, an insult. They attacked you because you work for me, in my territory, on my street. That makes it personal. I'm just a housekeeper. You work in my home. He moves around the desk. Sits in the chair beside mine instead of behind the desk. Close. Equal. You've been here 11 months. I notice things, Elena. How you organize the books by era without being asked. How you never disturb the papers on my desk. How you take every overtime shift offered. My throat tightens. I need the money. I know. Medical bills for your father. Emergency surgery. $62,400. Of course he knows. He probably knows everything about everyone who works for him. So you understand, he continues, voice dropping, why I can't let this go. If I allow someone to hurt one of my people without consequences, it shows weakness. And weakness in my world gets you killed. The casual mention of killing should terrify me. Instead, I feel something else entirely. Something warm and dangerous. What will you do to them? I ask. What needs to be done? He stands, offers me his hand. Come, you're not cleaning anything else today. You're going to rest in one of the guest rooms until this is handled. I take his hand before I've decided to. His grip is firm, careful, and he pulls me to my feet with effortless strength. For a moment we stand too close, his hand still holding mine, and the air between us feels charged. Then he releases me and steps back. This way. The guest room Marco shows me to is larger than the bedroom I share with Sophia. Cream walls, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the garden, furniture that looks like it costs more than a car. Sit, he says, gesturing to an upholstered chair by the window. Vittorio will need time to pull the security footage. I want you resting until then. I should finish my work. That wasn't a suggestion. His tone allows no argument. You're injured. You'll rest. He leaves before I can protest further. The door clicks shut with quiet finality. I sink into the chair because my legs are shaking and my ribs scream with every movement. Through the window, I watch shadows lengthen across the garden as afternoon shifts toward evening. Sophia appears 20 minutes later, carrying a tray with tea and sandwiches I hadn't asked for. She sets it on the side table, then sits on the arm of my chair. Okay, what the hell is happening? She keeps her voice low. Marco De Luca just personally brought you upstairs. Vittorio's running around like someone's going to war. And you're sitting in the nicest guest room like you're actually a guest. He knows about the attack. How? He saw my face. Asked questions. I couldn't keep lying. I pick up the teacup more for something to do with my hands than from thirst. Sophia, they recognized my uniform. The men who attacked me. They knew I worked here. Her face goes pale. That's why Marco's taking it personally. Yeah, I sip the tea. Too hot, burning my split lip, but I welcome the distraction. He said it's an insult. That he can't let it go unpunished. Sophia is quiet for a moment. Then, I've worked here 2 years. Never seen him like this. Like what? Focused. Angry, but cold angry. The kind that's more dangerous than yelling. She studies me with those knowing sister eyes. He used your name. So? Elena, he calls me, the cook. Everyone else is, staff. He knows our names. He knows everything, but he doesn't use them. Distance, you know? But he used yours. Before I can respond, a knock comes at the door. Vittorio enters, carrying a laptop and a manila folder. His expression is grim. We have the footage, he says. Mr. De Luca wants you to confirm identification. I follow him downstairs to Marco's study. The room feels different now, charged with purpose. Marco stands behind his desk, jacket discarded, sleeves rolled up, looking every inch the dangerous man I've always suspected he was. Vittorio opens the laptop, angles the screen toward me. Grainy security footage shows a street corner I recognize. The timestamp reads 11:27 p.m. Tuesday. I watch myself walk into frame, hood up against the rain, head down. Then 2 figures emerge from the alley. My stomach twists. Even in poor quality video, I recognize them. That's them, I say quietly. Vittorio pauses the frame, zooms in on the tall one's face. You're certain? Yes. He's the one who grabbed me. Asked about my uniform. Marco leans forward, studying the frozen image with predatory focus. Who are they? The tall one is Victor Kozlov, Vittorio says, pulling photographs from the folder and spreading them across the desk. Low-level enforcer for Nikolai Petrov's operation. The shorter one is his cousin, Alexei. They've been working collections and intimidation in Brooklyn. Petrov. Marco pronounces the name like a curse. So this wasn't random. Territory play, Vittorio confirms. They're testing boundaries. Hitting your people to see if you'll respond. I listen to them discuss violence and territory like they're analyzing weather patterns. The clinical detachment should frighten me. Instead, I feel strangely removed. What will you do? The question escapes before I can stop it. Both men look at me. Marco's expression softens fractionally. Find them. Bring them here. Make it clear that touching anyone under my protection has consequences. You don't have to do this because of me. My voice sounds small. I'm nobody. Just someone who cleans your house. Marco circles the desk with deliberate slowness. Stops directly in front of me, close enough that I have to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. You work in my home, he says, voice low and intense. You've been here 11 months. I've noticed how you fold the newspapers so the crossword faces up. How you water the plants in the library every Thursday. How you never complain, never ask for anything, just do your job with quiet competence. Heat floods my face. You noticed that? I notice everything in my world, Elena. And you're part of it, whether you realize it or not. He glances at Vittorio. Assemble a team. 6 men. Find Kozlov and bring him to me. The cousin too if you can locate him. Done. Vittorio closes the laptop. What about the girl? She stays here tonight. Guest room on the 2nd floor. Her sister too. Wait, I start. Marco holds up a hand, silencing me. This isn't negotiable. Those men know you work here. They know what you look like. Until I've handled this situation, you're not walking home alone. I can't just stay here. I have a life. Bills to pay. Your bills will be there tomorrow. His tone brooks no argument. Tonight, you're under my roof and my protection. Accept it. The word protection hangs in the air between us, weighted with implications I'm not ready to examine. But exhaustion and pain are catching up to me, dragging at my bones. Fine, I say. One night, sleep refuses to come. I lie in the unfamiliar bed, staring at shadows that dance across the ceiling, listening to Sophia's steady breathing from the adjacent room. Every time I close my eyes, I see the footage again. Grainy images of myself being cornered, attacked, left bleeding in the rain. My ribs throb with each breath. My swollen eye pulses with heat. Around 2 in the morning, I hear it. Voices, low and urgent, drifting up from somewhere below. Then the distinct sound of a heavy door closing. Not slamming. Controlled. Deliberate. I should stay in bed. Should pull the covers over my head and pretend I heard nothing. Instead, I find myself padding barefoot across the carpet. I ease the bedroom door open with careful silence. The hallway stretches before me, illuminated by subtle floor lighting. The voices are coming from Marco's study. My heart hammers as I creep down the stairs. I've cleaned these stairs dozens of times, know which boards creak. Now that knowledge serves a different purpose as I descend into the darkened 1st floor. Light spills from beneath the study door, a golden line against polished hardwood. I approach it slowly, barely breathing. The door stands slightly ajar. What I see makes my blood turn to ice. 2 men kneel in the center of the room, hands zip-tied behind their backs. I recognize them immediately despite the blood on their faces, the shaved head, the broader build. The men who'd attacked me. Vittorio stands to one side, arms crossed. 2 other men I don't recognize flank the doorway, guns visible at their waists. And Marco sits in his leather chair, perfectly still, watching the kneeling men with focused attention. I didn't know, Mr. DeLuca. The tall one, Victor, speaks rapidly. I swear, we didn't know she was yours. Petrov just said to send a message. Make noise in your territory. We were supposed to rough up a few people, nothing serious. Nothing serious. Marco's voice is soft, terrifyingly soft. You put your hands on someone under my protection and call it nothing serious. It was just supposed to be a warning. Show we could reach into your streets whenever we wanted. Victor's eyes dart between Marco and Vittorio, searching for mercy he won't find. We weren't supposed to really hurt anyone bad. Just scare them. Scare them. Marco stands slowly, each movement precise and controlled. He crosses to stand directly in front of Victor. Tell me something. When you saw her uniform, when you realized she worked in my home, what did you think would happen? We thought, Victor stammers. Petrov said you'd back down. That you were getting soft. That taking Lower Manhattan was making you weak. Petrov was wrong. Marco crouches, bringing himself eye level with Victor. Do you know what she does here? She cleans. She folds linens. She arranges flowers. She's 26 years old, working double shifts to pay off her father's medical bills. And you beat her unconscious in the rain for politics. The silence that follows is absolute. Even from my position by the door, I can feel the weight of it. Then Marco asks the question, and my breath catches. Who touched my family? His voice is barely above a whisper, but it carries more menace than any scream could. Each word falls like a stone into still water. I did. Victor's voice breaks. I did it. Alexei held her, but I hit her. I'm sorry, Mr. DeLuca, I'm so sorry. You're sorry. Marco doesn't move, doesn't blink. You're sorry because you got caught. Because you're kneeling here instead of sleeping peacefully. You're sorry because you know what comes next. He stands, turns his back on the kneeling men, walks to his desk. The casual dismissal is somehow more frightening than any display of rage. Vittorio. Marco's tone shifts to pure business. Take them. Make it clean. I want Petrov to receive a message, but I don't want problems with the harbor police. Understood? Understood. Vittorio gestures to the other men, who move forward to haul Victor and Alexei to their feet. Wait. Victor struggles against the hands gripping his arms. Please, Mr. DeLuca, I have a family. So does she. Marco doesn't turn around. Her father needed emergency surgery. Her sister depends on her income. She has people who love her, people who need her, just like you claim to have. The difference is she never put her hands on anyone. She just tried to go home after working a double shift. Take them. I retreat before I can see more, pressing myself against the wall around the corner, pulse pounding so hard I think they'll hear it. Footsteps approach. I hold perfectly still as Vittorio and his men lead the prisoners past, moving toward what I assume is a back exit. Victor is crying now. Quiet, desperate sobs that make my stomach twist despite everything. The study door clicks shut. I wait until the footsteps fade completely before creeping back upstairs, my legs shaking so badly I have to grip the railing. Back in the guest room, I sit on the edge of the bed, hands trembling. I just watched Marco DeLuca condemn 2 men to death. Calmly, efficiently, with less emotion than I'd use ordering lunch. And the worst part, the part that should terrify me but instead leaves me feeling strangely hollow, is that I can't bring myself to care. They'd beaten me unconscious, left me bleeding in an alley, and now they would pay for it. I don't know how long I sit there. Long enough for the sky to begin lightening at the edges. Long enough to watch black SUVs pull away from the house through my window, headlights cutting through the pre-dawn darkness. 3 vehicles, moving in formation, carrying men with guns and zip-tied prisoners to whatever fate Marco had ordained. I wonder if I've just become an accessory to murder. Wonder if I care. The answer is complicated. Around 5, a soft knock comes at my door. I'd thrown on a robe over the borrowed pajamas, and when I open the door, Marco stands there holding 2 cups of coffee. He looks tired, the first time I've ever seen even a hint of weariness in his carefully controlled facade. Did I wake you? He asks. I couldn't sleep. He nods, unsurprised, and holds out one of the cups. I take it. Our fingers brush briefly in the exchange. The coffee is perfect. Cream and sugar in exactly the proportions I prefer. Of course he knows. He knows everything. Can I come in? He asks. I step back, letting him enter. He moves to the chair by the window, the same one I'd been occupying for hours, and I sit on the edge of the bed. What happened to them? The question emerges before I can second-guess asking it. Marco studies me over the rim of his coffee cup. They paid for their mistake. That's not an answer. It's the only one you need. His voice is gentle but firm. You don't want details, Elena. Trust me on this. How do you know what I want? Because I've seen that look before. The one you're wearing right now. The one that says you're trying to figure out if you should feel guilty for not feeling guilty. He sets his cup on the side table. Don't. Those men made choices. They dealt in violence. They knew the risks. I sip my coffee, letting the warmth seep into my hands. I should be afraid of you. Probably. I'm not. I know. He leans forward, elbows on his knees. How do you feel? Honestly, my ribs hurt. My face hurts. Everything hurts. I touch my swollen eye gingerly. But safer than I've felt since Tuesday night. Satisfaction flickers across his features. Good. That's what matters. He stands, crosses the space between us. Let me see. I tilt my face up, and his fingers brush my jaw, turning my head to catch the early morning light. His touch is careful, almost clinical, but there's something else underneath it. Something that makes my skin tingle. The swelling's going down, he observes. But you need a proper medical evaluation. Dr. Moretti is expecting us at 9. I can't afford. I wasn't asking about your finances. His thumb traces the edge of the bruise on my cheekbone with unexpected gentleness. This happened because of me. Because you work in my house, on my street. That makes it my responsibility. That's not how responsibility works. It is in my world. He withdraws his hand, and I immediately miss the warmth of it. Get dressed. Wear something comfortable. We leave in an hour. He moves toward the door, then pauses, looking back at me. For what it's worth, he says quietly, you're not just a housekeeper to me. You never were. Then he's gone, leaving me alone with those words echoing in my head and coffee growing cold in my hands. Dr. Moretti's clinic occupies the second floor of an unremarkable building in Midtown. No sign outside, no indication it's anything other than offices. Marco leads me through a private entrance. Upstairs I climb slowly, each step a reminder of Tuesday night. Dr. Moretti is perhaps 50, with silver-streaked black hair and hands that look like they've seen everything. He examines my face with professional detachment, checking my pupil responses, palpating the swelling. No sign of orbital fracture, he says, making notes on a tablet. Significant soft tissue damage, but it'll heal. How's your vision? Blurry in the left eye. But it's getting better. Good. Now the ribs. He gestures to an exam table. Shirt off. You can keep the bra on. I hesitate, acutely aware of Marco standing against the wall. Dr. Moretti notices my discomfort. Mr. DeLuca, perhaps. I'm staying. Marco's tone allows no argument. But he turns to face the window, offering me that small privacy. I peel off the sweater carefully, trying not to gasp when the movement pulls at damaged tissue. The bruises have ripened overnight into spectacular shades of purple and yellow, spreading across my left side like some grotesque painting. Dr. Moretti's professional mask slips for just a moment. Christ. Then he's all business again, pressing carefully along my ribs. When he reaches the sixth one, I can't contain the sharp intake of breath. Easy, he murmurs. Fractured, probably. Let's get an X-ray to confirm. The portable machine emerges from a side room, and for the next 10 minutes I hold various uncomfortable positions while trying not to cry from the pain. Marco has turned back around, and I feel his gaze on me like a physical weight. The X-ray confirms it. My sixth rib on the left side has a hairline fracture. Not displaced, Dr. Moretti explains, which means it will heal without surgery, but it will take time. 6 weeks minimum. He wraps my torso in a compression bandage that makes breathing easier, prescribes painkillers and anti-inflammatories. No heavy lifting, he says, typing prescriptions into his tablet. No strenuous exercise. If the pain worsens or you develop difficulty breathing, call me immediately. He glances at Marco. She needs rest. Real rest, not working through it rest. She'll rest. Marco accepts the prescriptions. I'll make sure of it. The payment happens while I'm getting dressed, conducted in low voices I can't quite hear. By the time I emerge from behind the privacy screen, Marco is tucking his wallet away and Dr. Moretti is handing me a bag with prescriptions already filled. You keep medications here? I ask. For special patients. Dr. Moretti's expression suggests he doesn't want to elaborate. Take one of the white pills every 6 hours for pain. The blue ones are anti-inflammatory, twice daily with food. Call if you need anything. Back in the car, I stare at the prescription bag in my lap. How much did that cost? Not your concern. Marco. Elena. He turns to face me fully, one hand on the steering wheel. Let me ask you something. If Sophia had been attacked the way you were, if she'd been beaten unconscious in my territory, would you want her worrying about medical bills? That's different. How? I open my mouth. Close it. Can't find an answer that doesn't sound hollow. You've worked in my house for 11 months, he continues, voice softer now. I know things about you. How you organize the library books by publication date. How you fold the newspapers so the crossword faces up. How you water the ferns every Thursday because they need consistent care. He pauses. How you never complain, never ask for anything, just show up and do your job with quiet competence most people wouldn't notice. You noticed. I notice everything, Elena. His eyes hold mine. Especially you. The drive back to the estate passes in silence, but it feels different than before. Charged. Like something unspoken is building between us. Marco orders me to rest for the remainder of the week. No work, no cleaning, just recovery. Sophia brings me tea and soup, fussing over me until I remind her I'm the older sister. But what surprises me is Marco. Throughout Wednesday and Thursday, he materializes at odd intervals, always with some excuse, always brief, but present. He brings food when Sophia is busy. Checks that I've taken my medication. Adjusts pillows when he catches me wincing. Each interaction is careful, controlled, but underneath I sense something else. Something that makes my pulse quicken. Thursday evening, I find myself on the terrace. The same one I've cleaned dozens of times, admiring the garden while scrubbing furniture I never expected to actually sit on. Now I occupy one of the wrought iron chairs, wrapped in a blanket against November chill, watching the sun set over the city. Marco emerges from the house carrying 2 glasses and a cigar. He hands me 1 glass, tea, prepared exactly how I like it, and settles into the chair beside mine. "How do you feel?" he asks, lighting the cigar. "Sore, but better." I sip the tea. The medication helps. "Good." He exhales smoke that curls into the evening air. "Dr. Moretti says you'll heal completely. No permanent damage. Physically, anyway." He turns to look at me, really look at me. "Are you afraid?" "Of what?" "Going back out there. Walking those streets again." I consider the question seriously. Am I afraid? Tuesday night plays on repeat in my mind. The rain, the alley, the hands grabbing me. But underneath the fear is something else. Something harder. "No," I say finally. "I'm angry." "Good. Anger is useful. Fear makes you weak. Anger makes you sharp." We sit in comfortable silence, watching the sky turn from gold to purple to deep blue. Finally, I ask the question that's been building. "Why did you take over your father's business? You could have done anything. Been anything." Marco is quiet so long I think he won't answer. "Then, my father died when I was 25. Heart attack, sudden and brutal. He left me an organization built over 30 years and 300 families who depended on us for work, protection, justice the law wouldn't provide." He studies the cigar. "I could have walked away. Sold everything, moved to Europe, lived off the money. But those families would have been absorbed by rivals or left to fend for themselves in a city that doesn't forgive weakness. So you chose responsibility over freedom. I chose honor over ease." He glances at me. "What about you? Why do you work so hard? The double shifts, the overtime. It's more than just making ends meet. The medical debt, the number that haunts me." I take a breath, feel it pull at my wrapped ribs, and tell him about my father's heart attack. The emergency surgery that saved his life but destroyed our finances. The bills that arrived while he was still in recovery. $62,400 in debt that will follow me for years. Marco listens without interruption, without judgment. When I finish, he simply nods. "That kind of debt, it's designed to be impossible," he says. "They know most people will pay minimum amounts forever, feeding the interest. It's legal extortion, maybe, but it's still mine to pay. Because you honor your obligations." The way he says it, like it's a virtue instead of a burden, makes my throat tight. Night has fully fallen now. Marco reaches over and adjusts the blanket that had slipped from my shoulder, his fingers brushing my neck with unexpected gentleness. "You should rest," he says. "Tomorrow we'll discuss arrangements." "Arrangements? You're not going back to walking home alone at night." "Not for a while." He stands, stubbing out the cigar. "We'll figure something out that doesn't make you feel caged." He leaves me there on the terrace, the city spread out below like a glittering promise. And for the first time since Tuesday night, I feel something other than pain or anger. I feel seen, protected, like maybe, impossibly, I mattered to someone who could move mountains with a word. Friday morning arrives with news that ripples through the estate. I hear it first from one of the other housekeepers, Maria, who whispers to another staff member in the hallway outside Marco's study. 3 Eastern European operations hit overnight. A gambling house in Brooklyn. A restaurant that fronted money laundering in Queens. And a warehouse near the docks that everyone knew stored contraband. No one killed, but the message was unmistakable. Marco De Luca had responded to the attack on me with surgical precision. I returned to light work despite Sophia's protests and my body's screaming objections. The compression wrap around my ribs makes breathing easier, but every deep inhale reminds me of Tuesday night. Every time I turn too quickly, pain flares along my left side. Marco finds me in the second-floor hallway, dusting a mirror I can barely reach without gasping. "What are you doing?" His voice is low, controlled, but I hear the displeasure underneath. "My job. You're supposed to be resting." "I've rested all week. I need to work." I keep my focus on the mirror, watching his reflection rather than turning to face him. Bills don't pay themselves. He crosses the space between us in 3 strides, takes the cloth from my hand, and sets it aside. No heavy lifting. No reaching above your head. No bending that makes you wince. I watched you climb these stairs. You gripped the railing like it was the only thing keeping you upright. His dark eyes search my face. You're wearing the compression wrap? Yes. Taking the medication? Every 6 hours, just like Dr. Moretti said. Good. He retrieves the cloth, hands it back. Light work only. If I catch you doing anything strenuous, I'm sending you home. Understood? Understood. But he doesn't leave. Just stands there, studying me with that intensity that makes my pulse quicken. How's the pain? On a scale of 1 to 10. 3. Maybe 4 when I move wrong. That's better than Wednesday. It's healing. I gesture vaguely toward the stairs. I should finish. Have you eaten today? The question catches me off guard. What? Breakfast. Did you eat anything? Coffee. I had coffee. His expression suggests coffee doesn't count as food. Come with me. He leads me downstairs to the kitchen where Sophia is prepping vegetables for lunch. She looks up when we enter, eyebrows rising when she sees Marco personally escorting me. Your sister needs to eat, he tells Sophia. Make sure she does. Regularly. Not just coffee. Yes, sir, Sophia says, fighting a smile. Marco leaves, and the moment the door swings shut, Sophia rounds on me. He personally checked if you ate breakfast? Apparently. Elena, he's never done that for anyone. Ever. In 2 years, I've never seen him ask a staff member about their meal schedule. He's just making sure I recover properly. Because I got hurt in his territory. Keep telling yourself that. She pushes a plate of pastries toward me. Eat. Before he comes back and lectures us both. The weekend establishes a pattern I can't quite make sense of. Marco appears at odd moments, when I'm organizing the library, folding linens in the guest rooms, watering the ferns I've tended for months. Each time, he pauses. Asks how I feel. Adjusts a pillow if he sees me sitting. Brings coffee prepared exactly how I like it. Other staff members notice. I catch curious glances, hear whispers that stop when I enter rooms. But no one says anything directly. Sunday afternoon, Vittorio finds me in the linen closet, moving carefully to avoid pulling at my healing rib. He's different with you, Vittorio says without preamble. I jump, nearly dropping the towel. I didn't hear you come in. That's the idea. He leans against the doorframe. I've known Marco since he was 25. Watched him build this organization after his father died. He doesn't let people in. Doesn't show weakness. Doesn't care about the small details of anyone's life unless it serves a purpose. What's your point? My point is he knows how you take your coffee. He noticed when you changed the way you organize his books. He personally drove you to the doctor and sat there while you got examined. Vittorio's expression is unreadable. That's not strategy. That's something else. He's just being responsible. I got hurt because of his business. Sure, keep believing that if it helps you sleep at night. Vittorio pushes off the doorframe. But when this gets complicated, and it will, remember I warned you. He leaves before I can respond, and I stand there holding towels and trying to ignore the way my pulse has quickened. That evening, I find Marco in the library. He's reading in a leather chair by the window, a glass of whiskey on the side table. He looks up when I enter. I didn't mean to disturb you, I say. You're not. He sets the book aside. How are you feeling? Like everyone keeps asking me that question. A ghost of a smile crosses his face. Because everyone's concerned. I'm fine. Really. I move to the bookshelf, running my fingers along the spines. These are beautiful additions. My grandfather's collection. He left them to me when he died. Marco stands, crosses to stand beside me. You organized them differently, chronologically within each author. It seemed to make sense. Tracked the evolution of their work. Most people would have just done alphabetical. I'm not most people. No. His eyes meet mine, and the intensity in them makes my breath catch. You're not. The silence stretches between us, charged with something I can't name but feel everywhere. In the air. In the narrowing space between our bodies. In the way his gaze drops briefly to my mouth before returning to my eyes. I can't stop thinking about you, he says finally, voice rough. Since Tuesday night. Since I saw what they did. Since I realized you've been here 11 months and I'd been too blind to really see you. My throat goes dry. Marco, tell me you don't feel it. Tell me I'm imagining this, and I'll walk away. Leave you alone. But tell me honestly. I should lie. Should protect both of us from whatever this is. Instead, the truth comes out in a whisper. I can't stop thinking about you either. He closes the distance between us in one step. His hand comes up to cup my face with surprising gentleness. His thumb traces the fading shadow of the bruise on my cheekbone. I'm not a good man, Elena. I do terrible things to maintain power and protect what's mine. You deserve better than what I can offer. Maybe I don't want better. Maybe I want this. The kiss happens like inevitability. Soft at first, questioning, his lips against mine testing boundaries neither of us had acknowledged existed. When I don't pull away, when my hands come up to grip his shirt, it deepens. His other hand finds my waist, careful to avoid my injured ribs, and I taste whiskey and something darker. More dangerous. Heat floods through me, erasing rational thought. This is Marco DeLuca, crime boss, the man who'd ordered deaths with the same ease most people order dinner. And I'm kissing him in his library while the city sprawls below us. His phone buzzes violently in his pocket. We break apart, both breathing hard. He pulls out the device, reads the screen, and curses softly in Italian. I have to go. Vittorio needs me. But he hesitates, looking at me with an expression I've never seen before. This conversation isn't over. No, I agree. It's not. He kisses me once more, quick and fierce, then is gone. I stand there for several minutes, fingers pressed to my lips, trying to process what just happened. Sophia is waiting when I make it back to the guest room. She takes one look at my face and knows. You kissed him. He kissed me. I think. Maybe I kissed him. It was mutual kissing. Oh my God. She pulls me to sit on the bed. Elena, this is insane. I know. I was going to say dangerous. But insane works too. She studies me carefully. Are you okay with this? Because once you start something with a man like Marco, there's no going back to being invisible. I think about his hands on my face. His voice admitting he couldn't stop thinking about me. The way he'd protected me without hesitation, like my safety was worth starting a war over. I don't think I want to be invisible anymore, I admit. Sophia pulls me into a careful hug, mindful of my ribs. Then hold on tight, because this is going to change everything. Through the window, I can see the city lights spreading toward the horizon. Somewhere out there, Marco is handling whatever emergency Vittorio had called him for. Making decisions that would ripple through the criminal underworld. And when he came back, we'd have to figure out what this thing between us meant. How a housekeeper and a mafia boss could possibly navigate feelings that defied every logical boundary. But for now, I sit with Sophia in comfortable silence, touching my lips where Marco's kiss still burns, and let myself feel something other than pain or fear. I let myself feel wanted. Monday brings complications. Marco has a meeting with Nikolai Petrov, the Eastern European boss whose men had attacked me. A negotiation dinner at an upscale Italian restaurant, the kind with cloth napkins and wine lists thicker than novels. I want you there, Marco tells me that morning. Why? Because Petrov needs to see you're not just staff. He needs to understand what you mean to me. And what do I mean to you? He steps closer, his hand finding my waist. Everything I shouldn't want and can't give up. So I borrow a dress from Sophia, deep navy that brings out my eyes, fitted but not uncomfortable with the compression wrap underneath. Marco appears at my door wearing a suit that probably costs more than my car, and those steel eyes heat when they land on me. Beautiful, he says simply. The restaurant is elegant, with private rooms and waiters who move like ghosts. We're escorted to a back room, and my stomach drops when I see who's already seated. A man in his 50s, heavy-set, with a scar cutting through his left eyebrow. 2 bodyguards flank him, stone-faced. This has to be Petrov. Mr. DeLuca. The man stands, offering his hand. Marco shakes it with minimal courtesy. And this must be the young lady who caused all the trouble. Elena, Marco says, his hand finding the small of my back. We're here to establish boundaries. Petrov's eyes track over me with unsettling interest. Please, sit. I've ordered wine. The dinner is a masterclass in veiled threats disguised as polite conversation. Petrov offers compensation for the unfortunate incident, $70,000, he says, as if that price tag could erase what his men had done. Marco's refusal is ice cold and absolute. I don't want your money. I want your word. No member of your organization touches anyone connected to me. Not my staff, not my businesses, not the people who live in my territory. You overstep those boundaries again, and we stop pretending this is about diplomacy. That's quite an ultimatum, Mr. DeLuca. It's not an ultimatum. It's a statement of fact. Marco's voice never rises, never wavers. You wanted to test me. See if I'd gone soft. Consider the test concluded. 3 of your operations shut down in 1 weekend. That was restraint. Push me again, and I'll show you what happens when I stop being restrained. Petrov's jaw tightens, but he nods. Understood. Your territory remains yours. Your people remain untouched. Good. Marco stands, helping me to my feet. Then we have nothing more to discuss. In the car afterward, I finally release the breath I'd been holding. That was terrifying. That was necessary. Marco's hand finds mine, lacing our fingers together. He needed to see you're not just staff. He needed to understand what you mean to me. And what do I mean to you? He looks at me then, something raw and unguarded in his expression. Everything I shouldn't want and can't give up. Back at the estate, reality settles in. Marco explains what Petrov's acknowledgement means. I'm now a known weakness, a target anyone wanting to hurt him would identify. He wants me to move into the estate permanently. Except bodyguards. Let him control every movement. No. The word comes out harder than I intended. I'm not becoming a prisoner, Marco. I won't live in a gilded cage because your world is dangerous. You think I'm trying to cage you? Frustration bleeds into his voice. I'm trying to keep you alive. By taking away my choices. By making every decision for me. By protecting what's mine. I'm not property. We stand in his study, tension crackling between us. His hands curl into fists at his sides, jaw tight with the effort of controlling his temper. Finally, he exhales. Then what do you suggest? Because doing nothing isn't an option. We compromise. I keep the apartment with Sophia, maintain my independence, but accept discreet security when I go out at night. A driver when I work late. Parameters that make him feel I'm protected without making me feel owned. I need you to understand something, I say quietly. I'm choosing this, choosing you, but I need to choose it, not have it forced on me. I understand. He crosses to me, cups my face with both hands. I'm not used to caring about anyone this much. It makes me irrational. You? Irrational? I smiled despite everything. Shocking. He kisses me then, deep and desperate, like he's trying to convince himself I'm real and choosing to stay. 2 weeks pass. My rib heals. The bruises fade to yellowish shadows. Dr. Moretti clears me for normal activity. And Marco and I settle into something that feels sustainable. 3 nights a week at the estate, 4 at the apartment with Sophia. My own space, my own life, while building something new that doesn't require me to disappear completely. The underworld notices. Word spreads that Marco De Luca has a woman. Not a mistress, not a plaything, something else entirely. Someone he listens to. Someone who influences his decisions. On a cold December morning, Vittorio finds me in Marco's study where I've been helping organize correspondence. Petrov's been quiet, he says. No moves against us. No challenges. The city's been peaceful. That's good, right? It's unusual. Vittorio leans against the desk. Petrov doesn't back down easily. He's calculating something. Should I be worried? You're always a target now. That's the reality. His expression softens slightly. But Marco won't let anything happen to you. He'd burn the city down first. That evening, I have dinner with Sophia at our apartment. Takeout from the Chinese place down the street, eaten directly from containers while we sit on our worn couch. So, Sophia says, twirling noodles around her fork. You're really doing this. The Mafia boss thing. The Mafia boss thing, I confirm. Are you happy? The question is simple but weighted with everything unsaid. Am I happy despite the danger? Despite the complications? Despite knowing I'd attached myself to someone whose world operates by different rules? Yes, I say. Genuinely, surprisingly happy. And you feel safe? I feel safer than I have in years. I set down my container. I know it sounds crazy. I know what he is, what he does. But Sophia, when I'm with him, I feel protected. Seen. Like I matter. She studies me for a long moment, then nods. Then I'm happy for you. Worried, but happy. She pulls me into a hug. You deserve to be cared for. Even if it comes from an unexpected source. Thank you. For supporting this. You're my sister. I support you even when you make questionable life choices involving dangerous criminals. She squeezes tighter. Just promise me you'll be careful. Always. The following Monday, I arrive at work to find an envelope on my desk. Inside is a single document. Employment contract. Personal assistant to Marco De Luca. Salary that makes my breath catch, triple what I'd been making, with benefits that include health insurance I can actually use. Marco appears in the doorway as I'm reading it. This is, I start. Fair compensation for your work. You've been managing my schedule, organizing correspondence, handling things that would take me hours. He moves into the room. You've earned it. I stare at the numbers. With this salary, I could pay off the medical debt in 18 months instead of 10 years. Could afford an apartment that doesn't have mold. Could breathe. There's a signing bonus, he adds casually. Should arrive with your first paycheck next week. I look up sharply. How much? Enough to handle any outstanding financial concerns. The medical debt. He's talking about the medical debt. My throat tightens. You can't just. I didn't ask your permission. Consider it a Christmas bonus. His expression dares me to argue. You work for me. I take care of my people. That's how this works. I should protest. Should maintain some pride about handling my own obligations. Instead, I feel something crack open in my chest. Relief so profound it almost hurts. Thank you, I whisper. Don't thank me. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep being exactly who you are. The following week, I discover he'd been telling the truth. My paycheck includes a bonus that covers every cent of the $62,400 I'd been drowning under. I stare at my bank account, at the zero balance where debt used to live, and cry in Sophia's arms for 20 minutes straight. He paid off your medical bills, Sophia says, stating the obvious. Marco DeLuca, crime boss, paid off your father's surgery debt. I know. That's the most romantic thing I've ever heard and also completely insane. I know that too. 3 weeks later, on a clear December night, Marco wakes me before dawn. I'd been sleeping in his bed, wrapped in sheets that smell like cedar and him. Come with me, he says. I follow him through the quiet estate, both of us barefoot, me still in his t-shirt. He leads me to the terrace, the same one where we'd sat weeks ago. Now I stand beside him in the pre-dawn cold, watching the sky lighten. I want to show you something, he says, gesturing toward the city spread below us. This is what I see every morning. Power, territory, an organization my father built and I've spent years maintaining. It's beautiful. It's a responsibility. He turns to face me. For years, that's all it was. Duty. Obligation. The weight of 300 families depending on decisions I made. Then you walked into my life with bruises you tried to hide, and suddenly the city looked different. My throat tightens. Different how? Worth protecting for different reasons. Not just territory or power, but because it's where you live. Where you walk. Where we built something impossible that somehow works. The sun breaks over the horizon, painting everything gold and rose. I touch my left side where the fracture had been, feel nothing but smooth ribs beneath my skin. 3 weeks ago, every breath had hurt. Now I breathe easily, deeply, without fear. Do you ever regret it? Marco asks quietly. How he started. The violence, the complications? I think about Tuesday night 3 weeks ago. The rain, the alley, the fear. Think about waking up in this estate, being seen for the first time in months. The kiss in the library. The way he'd protected me without asking for anything in return. No, I say honestly. I wouldn't change any of it. The attack brought me to you. Everything terrible led to this. That's a dangerous way to think. Maybe, but it's true. I turned to face him fully. We were built on danger, Marco. That's our foundation, but we're sustained by choice. By deciding every day that this, whatever this is worth the risk. He cups my face with both hands, thumbs tracing my cheekbones where bruises used to be. Then he bends to kiss the spot on my left side where the sixth rib had been fractured. A promise made flesh, that he'd protect what was his, honor what we'd built, choose me as deliberately as I'd chosen him. I love you, he says against my skin. I don't say that lightly. But I need you to know. I love you too. The words come easily, naturally. Even though you're complicated and dangerous and you do terrible things. Especially because of that? Maybe a little. We stand together as the city wakes beneath us. His world will always carry risk. Mine will always be complicated by association. But standing there in dawn light, his arms around me and the city sprawling below, I realized something important. I'd stopped surviving and started living. The medical debt is gone. My body has healed, and I'd found something I never expected. A man who saw me completely and chose me anyway. Ready to face the day? Marco asks. I lean into him, feel his heart beating steady against my back. With you? Always. The morning after our terrace confession, everything feels different. Lighter somehow, like a weight I didn't know I was carrying has finally lifted. I'm in Marco's study, organizing files for an upcoming meeting, when Vittorio enters with a folder. Petrov's lieutenant reached out, he says, placing the folder on the desk. Wants to arrange a meeting. Neutral territory. Marco, who'd been reading reports, looks up. About? Didn't say. But the tone was respectful. Almost conciliatory. I watch the exchange, trying to read between the lines. Marco's expression gives nothing away, but I've learned to notice the small tells. The slight tension in his shoulders, the way his fingers pause on the page. Set it up, Marco says finally. But I want extra security. And Elena stays here. I wasn't planning on going, I say. He looks at me then, something soft passing through his steel eyes. Good. The meeting happens 2 days later. Marco returns that evening looking tired but satisfied. He finds me in the library, curled up in the leather chair with a book. How did it go? I ask. Petrov wants a truce. Official boundaries, established protocols. He pours himself a whiskey, then sits across from me. He's consolidating his territory, doesn't want the expense of a prolonged conflict. That's good news, right? It's practical news. He sips his drink. But it also means you're officially recognized. Petrov specifically mentioned that harming you would be considered an act of war. The implications settle over me. So I'm protected? By treaty? You're acknowledged. His eyes hold mine. As someone important to me. As family. Family. The word echoes in my mind, carrying weight I'm still learning to understand. Speaking of family, I say, changing the subject slightly, Sophia wants to have Christmas dinner at our apartment. Nothing fancy, just the three of us. If you want to come. Marco looks surprised. Your sister invited me? I invited you. Sophia agreed, reluctantly at first, but she's coming around. I smile. She said any man who pays off medical debt and doesn't get me killed in the first month deserves a chance. High praise. From Sophia? Extremely. He's quiet for a moment, studying the amber liquid in his glass. I haven't celebrated Christmas in years. Not since my father died. Then it's time to start again. Christmas Eve arrives with unexpected snow. Sophia and I spend the afternoon cooking in our tiny apartment kitchen, filling the space with smells of garlic and rosemary and fresh bread. Marco arrives at 6, carrying wine that probably costs more than our rent and looking endearingly uncertain. I wasn't sure what to bring, he says, handing Sophia the wine. This is perfect, she assures him, then leans closer. But if you hurt my sister, I know where you sleep. Marco's lips quirk. Noted. Dinner is simple but warm. Pasta Sophia makes from scratch, roasted vegetables, bread that's still hot from the oven. We eat at our small table that barely fits 3, and I watch Marco slowly relax. See him smile at Sophia's stories about kitchen disasters. Listen to him share carefully edited memories of his own family's Christmases. After dinner, Sophia excuses herself, giving you 2 privacy, she whispers to me, and Marco and I sit on the worn couch with coffee. Thank you, he says quietly. For this. For including me. You're part of my life now. That means you're part of all of it. He pulls me closer, careful of my ribs even though they're fully healed now. I have something for you. He produces a small box from his jacket. Inside is a key. To the estate, he explains. Your own key. Come and go as you please. It's your home too, if you want it to be. I hold the key, feeling its weight. Not a cage, not a demand, just an offer, a choice. Thank you, I whisper. There's something else. He pulls out an envelope. Your father's surgeon called my office by mistake last week. Something about a follow-up appointment. I had Vittorio look into it. I open the envelope. Inside is a medical report, my father's latest cardiac evaluation. Everything is stable, healthy. The surgery was successful. I thought you'd want to know he's doing well, Marco says softly. I can't speak, just press the report to my chest and feel tears slip down my face. Marco pulls me against him, lets me cry into his expensive shirt, and doesn't say anything. Just holds me. I love you, I finally manage. For this. For everything. I love you too. He kisses the top of my head. Merry Christmas, Elena. Through the window, snow continues to fall over the city. Our city. The one where terrible things led to something beautiful. Where danger and safety coexist. Where a housekeeper and a crime boss found each other and decided to build something impossible. Sophia returns with hot chocolate and Christmas cookies, and we spend the rest of the evening in comfortable warmth. Marco's phone buzzes occasionally, Business never truly stops, but he ignores it. Chooses to be here instead. Chooses us. And as I sit between the two people I love most in the world, I realize something important. I'm not invisible anymore. I'm seen. I'm protected. I'm loved. And I chose this. Every dangerous, complicated, beautiful piece of it. The city outside may be silent tonight, peaceful under its blanket of snow. But tomorrow it will wake again, vibrant and violent and alive. And I'll face it the same way I face everything now. With Marco beside me, Sophia supporting me, and the certainty that I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. The morning after Christmas, the city wakes to fresh snow and old deaths settled. In a mansion in Lower Manhattan, a woman who used to be invisible stands at a window, watching the world below. Behind her, the man who rules that world sleeps peacefully, something he hasn't done in years. And in Queens, a younger sister smiles, knowing her family is finally, truly safe. The war isn't over. It never is in this world. But for now, there's peace. And love. And choice. And sometimes, that's enough.